Alrighty, and we are live. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever the case may be, in this bright, wonderful world we call home. Once again, it is the Aloha Hour. I am your humble servant, Mike Miller, and again with me tonight is the savoir-faire, that is Edwin de Boyette.
As always, it is incredibly my pleasure to be here with you in the chat.
And the tall and handsome Mitch Breitweiser.
It's a pleasure to be here. I like hanging out with scoundrels while I try to get my work done.
I assume you're tall. You look very tall. So how tall are you?
I'm a little under 6'1", like 6'1.5" or 3/4 an inch, something like that.
Compared to me, that's tall. So there we go. Right now,
I don't want to be any taller nor any shorter. I feel just right.
Yeah, I could use a couple inches. But anyways, let's not dwell on that. What are you doing today, Mitch?
I'm still working on my. Oh, I'm about to cough. Excuse me.
Yeah, what are you doing today, Edwin?
Oh, I heard from your buddy Eric, and just got a phone call from him.
Oh, nice.
45 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh.
We're either gonna go grab some coffee tomorrow at some point, or he might come to church. Him and his family might come to church with us on Sunday if it works out for him. Yeah. Yeah.
So they're just vacationing. I tried to get to start his YouTube channel, but I guess he was like right off to the vacation thing right after that. So probably didn't want to start in Hawaii. Although that would have been nice.
Yeah. Like whenever I do like a ride and talk and I go down to the beach, like on Twitter or YouTube, all kinds of people tune in for that to see a little bit of Hawaii's white sandy beaches.
Yeah, I had a little drive-in video today to pick up my daughter. I don't know if anybody saw it.
I saw a couple of minutes, your Civil War video, yeah?
Yeah. I don't know, it was just on my mind, so...
Whereas, according to Twitter, Mike reenacted his proud Confederate family heritage on his Civil War video today.
Oh, is that... Honestly, I don't know what if it was true at this point. That could actually be a real thing. It's so ridiculous.
Well, I mean, technically, I don't think so.
Well, half of the Confederacy was made up by Japanese. So, as we all know.
Well, my other half has been here since before this was a country, so I could have, but we're Pennsylvania Dutch primarily, so I don't think that's we're Yankees.
So you were too busy making like apple pies and scrapple and such, yeah?
I guess so. I don't know. That one thing I did not do. I was on Ancestry for, oh my gosh, have you ever been on that thing? You can get just sucked into the wormhole that is Ancestry.com so fast. It's like I was on there for a week not getting any work done because I was just like following every little...
General Lee was one of your people, right?
Generally speaking. Sorry.
Wasn't an Asian American? No.
Lee wasn't. No.
Yeah. Oh, I see where you're going with that.
the first Benihana Brigade of the Confederate States of America.
Yeah, apparently I'm a terrible, terrible racist. Didn't you know?
Yeah, I heard about this because you. Yeah, I did hear a little bit about that.
Yeah,
it was pretty terrible. It was pretty terrible.
I know I'm a horrible human being. I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know why you associate with me.
I'm sure it was always positioned in context of everything around it.
That's usually how it goes. Yeah, and they just clipped it off right there. It was funny because I think some people in the chat were like, "Oh, that's gonna," and I'm like, I was oblivious to what it was. I was like, "Oh no, that's stupid." Fetigator for $4.99. That's a good way to start. The SJWs unleashed Pickett's charge against Comicsgate this week and failed miserably. They are so exposed, they picked a fight with the wrong peeps. Rhaegar Targaryen says, Mike is a racist.
Oh, no.
Chuck Selner. I've had that guy muted forever, and I just somebody responded and to him, and I'm like, I just want to see what Chuck's saying. So I unmuted him. Dude, his whole flipping page is about you and me, Edwin.
Really? Still
obsessed.
interesting.
Who is that?
Chuck
I don't know
Stoller.
the name. Is he a?
You'll never know his name. He's a nobody, and he'll never.
Oh, okay.
Well, I was engaging him with him for a while because he was doing like this pseudo intellectual, academic kind of criticism of people, and he was just being like this
pompous ass.
Well, almost like a mind virus Eeyore. Just like, how can Chucky Sellner suck some of your joy today? And so, I was like, hey, get out of here with that. Because he was trying to act like he was like an objective, kind of disinterested third party, right? With his pronouncements. But then I realized, I started looking at his post. I'm like, nobody talks to Chuck unless I do. And so, nope.
Well, then there you found your answer.
There you go. Talk to me. Somebody talk to me. I don't think he got a father either.
Mr. Sellner, you're going to have to do your own work.
That sucks.
Well, I'm sure he had a father. I mean, the genetic material had to come from somewhere.
Yeah, he's not.
Well,
it wasn't midichlorians.
Unless he was decanted in a factory somewhere. Is that what you're proposing?
That seems more likely with the lack of personality they gave him. I'm starting to think he might have been made in the same factory as Nasser.
These Marxist cultists have been decanted from somewhere? Is that what you're suggesting?
Decanted, and then they went straight into their programming.
There goes Mike with the attacks on fatherless children. Exactly, right? So they already don't have a dad. They've already got like a strike against them.
Yeah.
Right? Because we know in a household where children are raised without a father, right? They have a higher chance of being incarcerated. They're more likely to suffer anxiety disorders, psychological disorders significantly than the rest of the population. They're going to have a lower educational attainment on average, right?
Generally speaking. This is all generally speaking.
I know there's absolutely exceptions, but we're talking generally speaking. And they're going to have less economic attainment, generally speaking. And so got somebody that's got all these strikes against them, and Mike still wants to kick him. This shows you how evil Mike Miller is.
Terrible. No one should ever associate with me. I don't know what you guys are thinking.
Well,
you just do it because you need a token minority to hang out with. I know how you comic skaters are.
Well, we would like to see the prodigal son return, right? We would like to see the prodigal son, Mike Miller, return to the side of the angels. Oh no, Christ Energetics, Mike S. Miller, heart of the meanie. I'm gonna stop because these things have a Ben Jones is here. Have you ever talked to Ben Jones?
Just on Twitter chat.
You wanna
Twitter chat.
You wanna bring him in? Ben is a cool dude.
That's good. Go for it. Is he not in the chat? I sent the link if he wants to come in.
Oh, I think he is. But sometimes that thing scrolls so fast, man.
Oh, yeah.
Let me see.
This weirdo had a freak out on Reddit over DNC a couple of months. Young Bluth. Is that one of the guys that was douching it up today?
Yeah. I just saw that, and I know we talked about Alterna a little bit yesterday, but did you see the thing that Kieran Shiak made?
The Alterna image?
Yeah.
Oh, alt-right? The right?
Yeah. Oh, that, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you say? Pretty sleazy.
Yeah. But Samedi is half Chinese. He's an Asian American.
Well,
probably a white nationalist. Then
Really.
one could deduce reasonably, I think, right, based on that criteria.
Ben Jones,
I feel
welcome
bad
to the
for him.
show.
How you guys doing?
Hey,
Good. Picking up some echo from somewhere though.
You watching the TV?
No, I don't know. Am I echoing?
sounds like background noise coming from your.
No, it's probably the TV downstairs. My girls like to leave stuff loud. Hold on a second. I'll turn it up.
Is that a plate of crawfish in front of your face? Is that what that is?
I'm looking. That looks like a plate of crawfish.
I think Ben went to turn off the TV.
I think he went to turn off the TV. Yeah, yeah. So we're getting to watch some some TV with the Joneses.
Right on.
Mitch, did you say you were part Cherokee the other day?
I mean, a little. I don't know to what degree. My great grandmother, I think, was
Not
half
enough.
or
Not
or
enough,
a quarter.
Warren.
Not enough to what?
The Elizabeth Warren.
No, I'm not going to make any such claims. It's just a bit.
All right, how's that for y'all?
That's groovy, bro.
All right.
Ben, why don't you introduce yourself to the audience?
Hey, well, to the audience, I am Ben Jones, artist and writer of Asgard. Indiegogo starts in 7 days? Oh, 8 days and change. So I've been part of Comicsgate for about 2 months, almost 3. Been following you guys for longer. And I finally kind of made my mark into this area.
Or how did you manage to do that? How did you get the attention of the gathering, whatever you want to call it?
Well, I just kept spouting my views. I wasn't really in defense of anybody, but when I would see something that I knew was wrong, or when they would lie on you guys, it was like, man, I'm reading the same thing you are, and my reading comprehension level was quite high, and I'm sitting here wondering how they got to this point to where they're trying to make on the quote unquote SJW side. I was like, man, I mean, I understand the agenda for these guys, and at its core, I kind of agree with it. It was like, yeah, it should be more diversity, whatever. But the execution and the attacks in trying to get there is like, what are you guys doing? I mean, I don't understand them. I mean, it's completely foreign and alien to how I live my life and how I teach my kids. So it's just where I stand. If I can't teach my kids I can't go with it. You know what I'm saying? If it's not something I can teach my children, it's like, yeah, here's what I want you to do. I want you to cry in the corner every time something happens to you. Do nothing about it. And then when they tell you to stop crying, I want you to call them a racist. And that's how you live your life. Sorry, I just can't live. I can't do that.
Yeah.
Wow, that's practically a perfect segue into our topic for the evening.
I certainly had some questions for sure.
Oh, you don't know what this is about?
No, what is the topic?
Edwin, there's some noise in here. Why don't you introduce it, and I'll just mute.
Okay. All right. So we are, since Ethan's not around, we're going to talk about Star Wars for a minute, in general. And this was an article that Mike found earlier, and it says Mark Hamill sends message of support to young Jedi who refuse to fight back against bullies. Can you see my screen all right, Mitch? Is that coming through?
Yeah, it's coming through.
Okay. So we got old man Luke here. Mark Hamill has given props to a 10-year-old boy from California who said that he refused to strike back at his bullies because it is not the Jedi way. Aiden Vasquez was punched in the face, needing stitches on his eyebrows, and had his backpack taken during an incident at his elementary school in Desert Hot Springs on Monday. This kid was hit pretty good then. When his mother, Lizette, posted pictures of his injuries on Facebook to draw attention to her claims that the school wasn't doing enough to protect Aiden, her story went viral. She says that when she asked why he'd not trying to defend himself, he'd explained that he'd learned from the teachings of the space saga. I told my mom I got it from Star Wars, that it's not the Jedi way, he told the television station. He added, I really don't want anyone to get hurt anymore. I just want everyone to be nice to each other. If you see a bully, run away and tell a teacher. In response to his inspirational words, Hamill tweeted, "Shout out to Aiden Vasquez for his courage and wisdom in the face of adversity. I'm so proud of you for showing you can be a Jedi in real life. Congratulations, Ada. The Force will be with you always." He signed off, your fan, Mark Hamill. Yeah. Replying to another fan, Hamill added, "I'm astonished by his wisdom and courage at such a tender age. I may be a fictional Jedi, but this boy is the real deal. Not sure how to reach out to him, but I hope he sees this message and knows how much I admire him." Well, that's only the best-known Jedi in the galaxy sending prompts. No big deal. Hamill is not the only one to have pledged support to the young Padawan. President of the Star Wars fan organization, the Chicago Jedi Gabriel Calderon, said, "You aren't alone. There are people out there who care about you, who look out for you, and it's part of being a Jedi. That's a special kind of family." Can I say something real fast?
Mm-hmm.
Talking about a special kind of family. Mark Hamill said some stuff to him, which was, we can talk about that. And he said some stuff to his mother and his teacher. There's a person missing here in this story.
Yeah.
Careful, you get in trouble when you mention that.
There's no father in this story.
Yeah,
Right.
I noticed that. But yeah, I mean that's obviously an important thing here. But dude, that's not the Jedi way. That's. I mean, I don't want to make this about.
This is where you're going to make your stand, Mike.
In what movie are Jedis taught to just freaking take a licking and go tell the teacher?
Well, I don't know what to say about this. I don't want to make too many presumptions about this kid and his family or lack thereof. Or you go ahead, Mike.
Did you call me?
What?
How you doing, Ben?
Oh, I thought I had turned that off. My bad.
We heard everything.
Okay.
Was it good for you?
When I was a kid, I was I started taking Taekwondo in 3rd grade, and I had always been taught in Taekwondo, you never use, your martial arts unless your life is in danger. They drilled this into us, right? So in 6th grade, I'm very nearly a black belt at this point, and this bully, I dropped my calligraphy pen, and this bully picked up my pen, stuck it in a fresh steaming pile of dog crap. I picked up my pen and I wiped it on the bully. And he punched me in the face, and I did nothing because it had been drilled into me for 3 years. You don't use your martial arts unless your life is threatened, and my life was not threatened. Boy, what a freaking stupid lesson to learn. Later, I'd become a freaking pacifist because I was such a huge Beatles fan. John Lennon had like everything Beatles, right? John Lennon, pacifism, all this stuff. So I'm at a bar with my friends, and they get into a fight.
Wait. Are we still in the 6th grade?
No, this is a little bit later. No, this is just another example of the foolishness of taking a licking and you know, walking away or crying to the authorities or whatever. My friends were in a bar fight with the bouncers, and my friend Donnie was getting, you know, his head stomped in on the ground. And I go and I push the bouncer off, and then I laid across Donnie defensively. The bouncer gave me 11 stitches using my head as a football. I went straight to the ER after that. Rather than, I mean, at that point, I think I had been taking Wing Chun as well. I mean, I could have handled this bouncer, even to just subdue him, but I was a pacifist because I was an idiot. This is not what you teach kids. Bullies don't stop being bullies because you call the authorities on them. Bullies stop being bullies because you stand up to them. And even if that takes taking a licking once or twice, they'll stop going after the ones who stand up against them.
I think it's always. Go ahead, Ben.
Oh, I was just saying that I agree wholeheartedly. It's what I teach my kids. I know when I was growing up, there was definitely no pacifism taught. It was, if you don't go out there and defend yourself, as my mom had this little saying, if you don't go out there and whip his tail and fight back, if you run in this house crying, I'm going to beat your tail and send you back out.
Good mama.
You know, and that's how I live my life, and that's what I teach my girls. You know, I think that's why bullying is so rampant in schools right now, because they enable the bullies.
Yeah.
And I think my daughter got into a fight with a bully, and the school wanted to press charges on my daughter for the fight.
For
and
defending yourself?
Yeah, and which the police officer tried to tell me. My wife and I were in this meeting, and the police officer, well, you know, we understand that she defended herself, but you know, the fight escalated to a point where she became the aggressor. I was like, wait a minute. So you expect a middle school child to be in a fight and be angry to understand? Okay, now I need to back off.
Yeah.
Like, no, she was defending herself. She was scared, terrified, and she did exactly what I tell her to do. It was like, if they just tap you, you nuke them, and they will never mess with you again. You don't even have to win the fight. You just have to put enough hurt on that bully to where the bully says, you know what? You know, I could probably win the fight against her, but I remember the last time, and that hurt, and I don't want to do that again.
Right.
That's how I live my life.
That bully ever did mess with her again?
Negative.
That is correct, sir.
All right, well, let's take one step backwards. In Mitch, you can comment on this anecdotally, or just based on what we know from the Star Wars movies. Are there any Jedis in the movies who don't engage in some form of violence?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I can't. The Jedi Council stuff, I have no idea about all those people, but I don't think so. I mean, it didn't seem to be. I think Mike Miller's correct.
Obi-Wan cut his arm off because he was rude at a bar.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not going to claim to be an expert on Star Wars. I don't want to get the fandom after me, but
yeah.
I think Mike is right on this. You don't want to be a pacifist. There are great things in life, and life's great. It's worth fighting for. And you have to be prepared to do so.
Yeah. People are saying those on the High Council. Aren't those the ones that ended up letting the whole Jedi Order be destroyed?
Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Now back to the anecdotal stories. What is your first story of fisticuffs when you were a young M. Brightweiser? When was the first time that you had to ball up your little fist and defend yourself?
I didn't get in too many fights. I wasn't like a real scrapper kid. I kind of got along with everybody. But let's see. I got in a few scuffles once in defense of my brother when I was in 6th grade, and he was in like 4th, and we were in the same elementary still. I don't know. I just kind of chased the guy around the playground, and we threw a couple of 6th grade punches. And then this dude had been talking smack. This was in like 9th grade. This kid who was my friend was talking smack, and he said something about my mom. We were on the way home from a football game. This was 8th grade or 9th grade. I can't remember now. Way home from a football game, and we got in a fight on the football bus. Yeah, it wasn't pretty.
Is it a "your mama so fat" joke?
I don't think so. I mean, I don't know. It's just tension had been building for a while, and he finally said something I couldn't. He had a mouth on him. He had a mouth on him, but we became friends a few years after that. I was that time. Yeah.
Mitch is a bully.
Well,
no.
at some point,
Mitch, say it ain't so.
Yeah. Well,
you don't want to push him too far.
You don't want to run your mouth too much. I
Mitch
There's a limit to that too.
M. Brightweiser says he'll stick one right in your suck hole if you get mouthy.
Yeah. Well, if I was still in junior high, maybe. Beyond that, I don't think that's probably very civil. We're still kids.
Yeah.
Right? Robbie.
These days, he's just serving up hot lead.
Yeah. I haven't been in a fight since. So otherwise, I'm pretty agreeable.
Oh.
How about you, Ben?
My first fight?
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a long line. I've been a fighter all my life.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think it's 7th or 6th grade, right around there was my first fight. It must have been 7th grade because it was with a lineman from our football team. Me and him got into an argument. He even got into I was terrified, if I remember correctly. And they tried to do the old put a pencil on somebody's shoulder. If the other guy knocks the pencil over and you don't do anything, you're essentially a punk. You can't do anything. You're scared. And I remember sitting there looking at that pencil on my shoulder, and I was hearing the echoes of my mother in my head. And then the pencil hit the ground, and I just essentially blanked out. When I fight, I tell friends, because I'm 5'8", I've never been a real big guy. So I meet size and height with more aggression. So the bigger you are, the more aggressive I am. And I just dove head first into that guy. That's how I've always been. I mean, I don't bring or try to taunt someone into a fight. But when that door opens, my dial has 0 and 10 on it. There's nothing in the middle. So I'm just coming at you at full force, and we're going to see what happens at the end. That's just the way I believe, because there's no such thing as fair fights in the streets. You never know if somebody has a gun or a knife on them. So if it starts as a fist fight, it won't necessarily end that way. So put them down hard and early. That way you can walk away.
Sounds like pretty good advice. If you have to do so.
Yeah.
Situational avoidance is probably the best tactic. Don't hang around with idiots if you can help it.
Oh God, yes.
That was always my.
Yeah.
That's probably why I avoided so many fights.
Yeah, and you have to, going along with Edwin saying, you kind of have to understand the situation that you're in. It's like, okay, this could escalate. Get away from it. And, that's always my first option. It's like, listen, I don't even want to get into this. So if I see it bubbling and I know it's a strong possibility it's going to get there, I'll try to get away from it. But, you know, some people, they take you walking away as a sign of weakness.
Right.
And they continue to push their side on you, thinking, oh, well, he ain't going to do nothing. He's just walking away. And then, well, guess what? Here's your Cupid doll, because you didn't win the prize you thought you was going to win. Now we're where I was trying to avoid, but now we're here. We're going to do this.
Yeah. And here's the deal: half of my workers are semi-retired gang members, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the most part, this Halava set of Crips. Halava's like a housing area here, and they're Samoans, right? And it's kind of funny talking to some of these or listening to some of these Marxist cultists, like talking about punching Nazis and stuff and talking about this cartoon violence. Because there's people out there that are willing to put a hurt on you real fast. And they don't have the same mental hesitations about doing damage to another human being that you or I or somebody else might have.
They're uncivilized.
They can go to that space real quickly. You know, if you've grown up in a world of violence, you don't have the same mental constraints that other people have, right?
Yeah, you're always expected.
You're normal American growing up in small town or civilized America has inhibitions on harming another person, right? You know, we even saw it in the Army. A lot of people just weren't shooters. You know, they might be good shots and stuff, but they're just not as far as putting somebody in their front sight post and pulling the trigger on another human being. Most people just aren't shooters. In fact, the Army changed their training to get people over that inhibition. They started using man-size or man-shaped silhouettes, right? And started doing force-on-force training, where you do this kind of like this high-end kind of laser tag training, right? It's called Miles gear. It fits onto the weapon. You wear like this harness and you shoot blanks. So when you do this man-on-man, you know, simulated combat, you get used to pointing your weapon at somebody, pulling the trigger, and you know,
it's
you get in that space.
Desensitization.
Yeah. And most people actually need that, because most people aren't really willing to do like horrific violence to other people.
Thankfully.
Yeah, thankfully.
Unless they come from Hawaii.
Well,
that's my brother grew up there, so you know, we left when we were kids, but my brother grew up there and then went back there. He left our family to go back and live and stay with a friend's house, at our neighbor's house in Hawaii. And yeah, he's like, that's you know, you meet guys and you kind of, it's like everybody's their own little gang, and you want to join the gang, you gotta get jumped in. It's like
well, but now Hawaii's got like this warrior tradition and this combative tradition. Like one of the guys I used to work for, or used to work with us, he was an MMA champion. One of the guys who works with us now has the heavyweight belt for a local competition, right? And it's pretty high level talent. Another one of my guys, he gave one of the current MMA or one of the current UFC champions from Hawaii, he gave him a really good fight. And then we have a kickboxing. We got another kid who's got a kickboxing belt, and we're a small company. We only have about 45 workers, and so everybody and their brother is either doing some judo or doing some jujitsu, or it's boxing, or it's just kind of the culture here.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Oh well, hang on. Let's see. John R. Carter, aka Bossman. Edwin, you're right. My brother just finished Fort Benning and now at Fort Hood, and he leaves to Syria September 26. Anyway, you're right about the training. Yes, that means his brother is infantry if he went to basic training at Fort Benning.
I think I've been to Fort Hood when I was a kid. That's in North Carolina, right?
Fort Hood's Texas.
Oh, okay. That's someplace.
What, Killeen, Texas? Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Let's see. We got some statistics here. Spoon 71. He's saying that 6% of soldiers shoot to kill naturally. The U.S. military training up that to 45%, but is the reason that PTSD is more common now than before. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So thankfully though, most people, at least in our pacified and civilized current year, have to be trained into doing violence, or bullied into it, or shaped by their environment. My story, I think, was, what was my first fight? I was in 4th grade. Do y'all know what a magnolia tree is?
I do.
Yes.
It forms these cones, kind of like a pine cone, but they're about 10 times as heavy. I mean, they're dense.
Mm-hmm.
And so at this elementary school I went to, when the cones were on the ground, I mean, we're kids, right? So after school, we'd have, like, cone wars. I guess I broke the rules. I don't know if I had like a bad throw or I was too close, but I clipped this kid, Chris Blinson. He's a fat kid back when barely anybody was fat. And he came up and I was just not ready. He punched me right in the kidneys, just dropped me on the ground, just folded me right up. And I'm probably, sniveling, crying, got, why did you punch me? Blah, blah, blah. But I went home, had a thought about it. And the next day, the next morning, I put my cowboy boots on. I had a pair of cowboy boots.
Suited up.
We would all hang out before school started, and I teed off, kicked him right in the plums.
Oh.
Game over.
Yeah. Well, I got paddled for it. Our principal kind of looked like Morgan Freeman, but this was back when we had corporal punishment, and he had this paddle, man, that had like holes drilled into it. Good Lord.
Yeah, my dad made one of those.
I was better off just to leave it with the kidney punch.
Yeah.
Well, you still had it better off than the other guy.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody agrees with me, but the way that the schools are handling bullying, either be it psychological, verbal, and or physical, I think, especially with the shootings in schools, I think that is a contributing factor. Because you can notice a child who doesn't have all the mental barricades that we adults have, and they're getting bullied, and there's nothing they can do. They run to the teacher, nothing happens for the most part. They run to the principal, nothing happens. And day by day, they go through this abuse at school. I think we've all seen it in high school. That one guy that just becomes the target.
Mm.
He looks for an option, and just so happens mom and dad has a gun.
Mm-mm.
When one good fight would have solved it all.
Yep.
It's just they've pushed this child so far to where they feel they have no other option. They have reached that last mental straw, and that last synapse fires. And no one in the media has brought that up. No one has brought up these school policies.
Usually, before they get to that point, the parents or the school takes them in to a psychiatrist or a psychologist and hops them up on freaking Ritalin or some other crap to try to, have that be the solution. Because most of these freaking crazy kids, they're on or have just quit psychosomatic drugs that they've been prescribed.
And I hate that too. We had friends where their child, first of all, the family didn't do any kind of discipline. And this kid, he's like,
Step one. How to make a school shooter. Step one.
Yes. And he was out of control, and the family had fallen on hard times. So we put him up in our house. We were hoping for a shorter period of time, but it ended up being longer. That's a whole nother story. And they kept saying, well, he has ADHD, and we don't have the money for his medicine. And this kid had essentially ripped the door off of one of my bedrooms in the house.
Oh my gosh.
And I came home from work, and I'm like, what in the hell is going on? And this kid is he's just bulldozing through the house. And I grab him under his arms, and I press him against the wall. I've now jacked him up. His feet are kicking me in the chest. And all I told him is, you will calm down now. And, and I'm putting a little pressure on him against the wall. And after a few moments, he calmed down. And guess what? I never had a problem with that kid once at all after that day.
Yeah.
And they were saying, he has ADHD. He needs medicine. No. He needs his butt kicked.
Yep.
And a heavy dose of more discipline to keep him straight. He doesn't suffer from a mental problem. He suffers from a lack of discipline.
Yeah.
And
he didn't know where his boundaries were at all, and that's the real problem there.
Let me tell you about my nephew, Justin. When he was a little kid, I don't know, he's like 2.5, 3 years old, something like that. He was at my house, and he was like trying to stick something in the light socket. So I spanked him. I was the only person who had ever spanked him because his parents didn't believe in spanking him. By the time this kid was 5, he ran the house at his parents' house. You'd hear his mother, like threatening to spank him, and he would just laugh and laugh and laugh every time she said it. Oh, you're gonna get a spanking, and he would just laugh and laugh. And it got to the point where after he was about 5.5, 6 years old, the father was like, we're going to start spanking this kid. And I'm like, yeah, you missed that bus. But so he was completely uncontrollable by either of his parents because neither of them would discipline him. But he would listen to anything I ever freaking told him because I spanked him one time. And he loved me. He freaking adored me, which drove his mother nuts because she hated me. But anyways, yeah, I mean, just sometimes, it's just like the introduction of discipline. It will totally change a kid's life. Not even sometimes, always.
Always. And I went through the same thing you did. This kid, he used to call me Mr. Charles. And, it was yes, sir, no, sir with me. With his mom, he was almost calling them by their first name, his mom and his wannabe father. But it was, yes, sir, no, sir. Yes, Mr. Charles. No, Mr. Charles. I wasn't even enforcing that on him. He just wanted to stay with me. And it was weird because even my wife was like, I just don't understand it. You're the only one put your foot down on him, and that boy would not leave your side now. I was like, well, because that
was his experience of what a man is.
Yep.
And they need that role model there, and they crave it, and they want to learn what it is to be a man, and they can't get it from someone who's not,
Hang on, I gotta, because we know how everything we talk about always gets put through the funhouse mirror.
Yes,
oh yeah.
And so Bubba Clem here in the chat says, headline, leaders of Comicsgate advocate beating children.
Yeah, I was going to say this. I was going to say something similar. Yeah, this is going to be cut, Mike. And yeah, you'll see this tomorrow making the rounds.
And you know what? If they want to call me on it,
children should be disciplined, and that requires spanking. You can get that one right out of here.
If they want to call me on it, fine, so be it. Yes, I have spanked all 3 of my girls. They have gotten some good ones from me and mom. So, and now, you know what? I have 3 wonderful girls.
Yeah.
I have intelligent, just very stand-up human beings that you want on your team. Whatever your team is, you would pick my children. If you can handle it. And that's what I raised them to be. That's what I wanted. I'm sending them armed into reality, the reality of America. They're not coming out there with a gun full of BBs. They're coming out there completely armed and knowing exactly what reality is going to be.
Amen, brother.
All right, so here's the way, Mitch. Here's the way you can participate.
Yes, please.
So when I was a kid, and I aired, my father wasn't a belt man or a switch man. It was just a hand. And I remember when I was little, like trying to hide like magazines in the back of my pants or something.
Oh, I think I might have done that too.
Was your dad a belt man or a hand man or?
No, it was belt. It was belt. My dad is a gentle man and a good Christian man, and we both my brother and I got spanked, and we deserved it most of the time. probably all the time. But it was always some time between from when we aired or acted up, and everything was always pretty well reasoned to us as children before we were delivered corporal punishment.
Yeah.
And my dad had never struck me in anger.
No,
so
yeah.
And I think that's important.
Yep. Yeah, those are the lessons they remember, My son lied to me one time. He was 5 years old. And it was the first time he'd ever lied to me. And I sat him down and I explained to him how that is the worst thing he can do to me, because honesty, being able to trust one another is the very foundation of any relationship. And I said, you can't ever lie to me, and I promise I will never lie to you. And, this went on for 10 minutes, but I just really wanted to drill that into him. And I said, I have to give you the maximum amount of spankings because I want you to remember this for the rest of your life. He is 17 years old now. He has never lied to me since. He confesses everything he does wrong. Everything. Things I don't want to know about. He tells me.
Oh, no.
You'll find out in about 10 or 20 years, you'll find out all the stuff that wasn't said.
Oh, no.
No, man, if he accidentally swears, he'll confess it to me. He's that good of a kid, and from one lesson. So yeah, we're raising good kids, man.
And that's parenting, man. I mean, you sat down, like every time my children, we had to give a spanking if the error was egregious enough for a spanking. And I think maybe they had a total of 6 throughout their lives each. But it was a sit down afterwards. Okay, do you understand what you did and why it got that far? It's a long, drawn out sit down with your kids after the spanking. The pain is initial, and now we're going to sit back and talk about it. And every one of my children knows I love them. And the fact that they're getting a spanking is because I love them. If I did not care about them, I would do nothing.
Yep, that's right.
Let's see.
Spoil a child.
$1.99 from JR. Aloha. P.S. Taxation is theft.
Amen, brother.
That makes me think of. Have either of y'all ever listened to Stefan Molyneux?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Now he's got some theories that he thinks spanking may not be appropriate, and he's got some statistics and stuff, or corporal punishment. But he's also got a very young daughter, so if he had a little boy, I wonder if that would change his mind. Well, now my mother didn't use her hand. My mother used wooden spoons, like these. Yeah, good old wooden spoons.
Oh, those break so easily, man. Those break.
Oh yeah, she must have. During my childhood, my mom must have went through like 40 of these. I wish I could come here and tell you I was a model of youthful behavior.
My mom would use my dad's belt, and I can remember the very last time she spanked us because I was there with my brother, and he's just crying, and he's older, and he's just crying, and I'm like, nope, you ain't getting it out of me. So she spanked us both, and that was the last time she ever spanked me because I didn't respond.
Let's see. Jeff Stout says, my mom used a spatula, I guess. Well, just like Benny Hanna's, yeah.
I think I got
a $20 Canadian from Kaz5166. I love you guys. I wish the best, and I hope you work together in the future. Sounds good.
I got extension cord, belts.
Extension cord.
Oh
wow.
yeah.
Whipping,
Dang.
that ain't a spanking. Holy
I was a pretty bad child at that age. Now I can look back and fully understand why. I actually got hit in the head with a broomstick. Great, but that was when I was 17.
Was that disciplinary or recreational?
I think it was probably a little bit of both from my mom. I was 17 and was taller than her, and we got into this bad argument, and I popped off at the mouth like I was grown, and she went to slap me, and I blocked the slap before it came, and I remember my hand raised to my mother. That was that moment. You know, you had just blocked the slap. That's all I was doing. But you know, if you could have took a snapshot, it was okay. You have your hand currently raised to your mother, and this is that quintessential black woman that has been your mother, your father, and your grandfather all rolled into one.
This is not going to end well.
And it did not, because we had one of those big industrial brooms with those, I don't know, like 4 or 5 inch thick freaking broom handles. I remember the sharp crack, and about 5 minutes later, when I came to on the floor, you know, she's still arguing, and I mean, she is still chewing me out. Yeah, my mom didn't take anything, man. Yeah, but I got switches. Switches are the worst.
I remember it wasn't me, but I was there. It was after my parents had gotten divorced, so me and my brother had gotten a little rebellious. As you know, kids are wont to do when that happens. And my mom was yelling at my brother about something, and he just let the F word slip out. And she's all, "You say F to me?" And she just started wailing on him. I don't remember what she had in her hand, but she just started beating the I was like rolling.
Was it nunchucks? Because the story would be so.
Yeah, that was funny.
Yeah, I think switches are the worst because you can hear them coming. you hear that coming. It's a split second before the pain. And we always had a thing where we had a switch bush, especially at my grandmother's house. And it used to, I don't know what kind of tree it was, but it kind of had these viney limbs on it. And you always had to pick a green one, because if you picked a brown one, that was going to break. If the switch broke, she would go pick out one, which would essentially become a flexible 2x4 that you're going to get now beaten with. So
you had the old go pick your switch.
Yeah, we had that.
I mean, terrorist, right? That's a terrorism right there, right?
Oh yeah, because you know you're going to get it. You're just like, oh, it was bad. It made you stop doing a lot of stuff. You're like, I can do this, but the penalty for doing this, if I get caught, is so high. I don't think I'm going to do that. I'm going to walk away.
Yeah, it was a bad idea.
Yep.
JR for $4.99. My mom would make me pull my pants down before I got the belt. One day I caught the belt in mid-swing, and she never tried it again after that.
Brave man.
Shinto Ketchup says the Hot Wheels race car track. Oof.
Oh yeah, that would make a great switch.
Oof. That's gonna sting.
There's a phone right there.
You know, and we're not statisticians, we're not psychologists or anything like that. But it does seem like a lot of young people now are ungovernable, yeah, and haven't had any inherent training to have respect for authority, yeah. And I'm not talking about like docility or being pacified or anything like that, but you do need to understand and be able to respect authority, you know, for what it is and what it is not.
You do.
Yeah.
I called the cops on one of my kids when she was 10. She stole like $10, and there was a cop rolling around. Just stole $10 from my mom to get something at the store, and there was a cop I knew. He lived in the neighborhood. So, hey, I need you to come talk to my daughter. And he was like, for what? I was like, well, she stole $10. I want to I want to show her what can happen. So he came over, like we had called him over, and man, he gave her the riot act. Did he what?
Cuff her.
No, but he did bring her to the jailhouse to show her the cells. So she had to get in the car. You know, he asked our permission. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. You know, and so she's crying in the car, and then we followed him to the jailhouse, and he showed her the cells and what can happen to her, where she could end up if she continued on that path. I don't think she ever did that again, man. I think if she found $10 in the house, she would probably avoid it like the plague, or pick it up and run it directly to us. And she's 17.
I bet you though, to her friends in school, like the next year after that, she was telling that story like she was Little Gangster Junior.
No, that poor girl, she was terrified. I actually felt very bad about it after, because she was frazzled by it. But that's exactly what I wanted, because I rather you go through this situation now in a fake scenario and get your feelings a little hurt, or maybe have a little emotional scarring because of it, than having to do it for real and I cannot help you.
Yeah. You had your own little episode of Scared Straight.
Yeah. Yeah, that's why my kids' friends, they call me the crazy dad, but they always want to. Every one of their friends calls me dad, which is weird.
Nice.
That's my name in the house, Dad. It doesn't matter what child is here, I'm Dad.
Yeah. JR for $4.99. I'm 31, technically millennial. Thankfully, my parents were old school and raised me right. Taught to identify with others my age. Oh, tough to identify with others my age, though. Bunch of, it's the soy generation, isn't it?
Yeah.
The soy generation.
My children have said the same thing to me. I've sat them down, and one's already graduated. One's graduating this school year, and the other one's a sophomore. And I've sat them down, like, tell me about your school. Because I see some of their friends that come to the house. I kind of just sit back and watch and listen to, how they speak and what they're speaking about. And I sit my kids down. So are there kids that have grown up like you, with the structure that we've put around you? And they tell me, like, no, just no. They're all not like us. We stand out so bad. I feel sorry for them, Dad, but oh well.
Well, depending where you live, there's a good chance that your children's friends, at least half of them or more, are being raised in single parent households. It's just most kids now are being raised in single parent households all across the United States.
It's pretty bad here in New Mexico. The teenage birth rate is through the roof. The high school my daughter just graduated from, they have a in-place daycare, and it's supposed to be originally what they promoted as a daycare for the teachers. And then there's teachers now that can't get their children in there because the students have it full.
Let's see. John Malin in the chat says, I walked into Ben's house. He made me call him Dad. Weird. When in Rome.
And he liked it.
Lift the smack down on your Rudy Poo.
Very funny.
That's great. Oh man. Yeah, but something's changed. People do need some discipline, and the point of external discipline is so they learn internal discipline, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that they can guide themselves. It's not to tee off on kids or abuse kids or anything like that.
No, man, it's to raise good people.
Yes.
None of these spoiled brats.
Exactly.
Ruining the entire country.
Yeah.
Ruining our industry.
You're creating a society of people that you cannot rely on.
Oh yeah.
It's I just don't even know where it's going to go. I don't know. Maybe there will be a paradigm shift in current culture, and maybe because culture, just like clothes, it tends to go on a sine wave, and so a lot of things return that were old, and I hope it returns. I was raised by a single mother, so I understand not having a father in the home. But if you're a mother in that situation, it is your responsibility to be the mother and the father. I am not saying it's fair, but you have a responsibility to that child. So you need to man up on that child and make sure that they end up right. So that maybe, especially if it's a boy, maybe, just maybe, that boy will grow up and have a family and stay with his family and understand what his mother sacrificed for him and give that back to his children.
Yeah. After the divorce, I was in a single mother household too. What was your situation with your dad?
My dad left. They got divorced when I was like 3.
Oh, really?
Mm.
Yeah, he lived in the same town, but he was never really. He kind of rode the fence in fatherhood. Actually, my stepfather was more of a father later in age. I was closer to high school, but I learned a lot from him. I tell him to this day, I really learned a lot from. I learned how to be a man from you, not my father.
Well, I'm glad he was there for you, man.
Me too.
I don't want to get into my dad. Comics for $5. I was raised without a father and a mother, and I just turned out just fine. You phobes.
Chicken Sith brought up a good point. He said comedians used to talk about discipline, and we'd laugh because we'd all had it. Today's kids would think they were listening to a horror story. And I remember like Eddie Murphy did this sketch where he would do the talking about his mom hitting him with the shoe, and she'd just have that deadly act.
Yeah. The boomerang shoe.
Yes.
But yeah, that would be like if you showed that to people now, it'd be like, what is this guy talking about? Right. And then did the cops come and take him to jail for, you know what I mean? They'd be waiting for the punchline, and it wouldn't have.
Yeah, the whole generation is like a shift. Hold on, I got an important question here from your friendly neighborhood ninja. What am I supposed to do as a single father? I'm having a hard time. How do I give them the right structure?
I wish we had a rule book like that to tell us.
I mean, I don't know how old your kids are, but for me, it's just making sure that they know they can always trust you, and making sure you can always trust them. Building that relationship takes discipline and time. And I don't know your whole situation, man. So it's kind of hard to go into that, but that's the most important thing to me with my kids, is that we have that relationship where we can always trust each other with what we say, and that no lying thing. I mean, I know you've heard this. You talk about the lying thing before, right? Like lying with me is huge, huge no. And so, yeah, that because you want to be able to trust everything that ever comes out of your kid's mouth, and you want them to be able to trust everything that comes out of your mouth. I never lied to my kids about freaking Santa Claus, right? Nothing, even if it was like, oh, it's all in good fun. I'm like, if it ain't true, I'll find a way around it. Like I told him, Santa Claus is a historical figure, and I told him about. I kind of massaged him into the fact that this whole red clown thing was spoilers, not real. But I never, ever lied to my kids, and that we have just this wonderful relationship because of it. So I think that for me is primary. If you guys have any suggestions,
what Mitch got to say? He's been too quiet over there.
Well, how old are the kids?
I don't have kids, so I'm gonna probably let you guys guide this fellow.
All right, I didn't have kids, but my father dug out when I was about 15 or 16. So it was weird because let me hit the super chat real fast. This is JR for $1.99. He says, trust plus honesty. Oh, this chat is scrolling so fast. Trust plus honesty plus loyalty plus respect equals the formula. All right. So my father dug out when I was about 15. And we went from being, kind of comfortable middle class to being probably below the poverty line in like a matter of months, which was challenging. I ended up having to be kind of a responsible figure for my brothers. And I was doing the best I could, but I was kind of clueless. I kind of needed a dad too. I think what would have helped with the structure though is some sort of regularity and some sort of predictability. But also what I had when I was a kid is I always had responsibilities, right? Like and not just trivial responsibilities. Like I was responsible for cutting the grass and raking the yard and doing different stuff, right? Contributing in some meaningful way with a task that was appropriate for my age and in my physical ability at whatever age I was at, right? And so that is probably one good way. Having some, as soon as your kids are old enough, giving them some meaningful responsibility in the house. It sounds so simple, chores, but I think we need another mod in here. Somebody is doing some anti-Semitic stuff.
Yeah, we got a troll.
Oh yeah, it says Kratom. Yeah, I'm just gonna go ahead and boot this dude.
All right,
because we don't need that.
Malin, you're a moderator. Ninja, again, I'm a father of 3 on my own. I'm in a serious struggle. My kids are 9, 6, and 3. I'm glad to have any advice for real. I'm going to give you an example of what happened in my family and just tell me if this guides you at all. When our younger ones were 2 and 3 years old, my older ones were like 7 and 8 years old, and they started getting wackadoo. I mean, they were like acting up. They were like doing all kinds of bad stuff to get attention and whatever. And I just saw through it, right? So I took them outside, and I sat them down on the deck, and I said, they're sitting on my lap. I'm like, are you guys acting up and trying to get attention because Isaac and Micah are getting all of the attention right now? And kids are smart. They both just went, right? They knew exactly why they were acting up. They're not.
Hey, Mike, you're going to have to make a couple of more mods. Looks like you're getting brigaded a little bit. So maybe make Pope Fire a mod. And I've used Testosterone Overload too.
Do you think, guys? Why do people have to try to come in and ruin things for people? So yeah, they like knew fully well that they were acting up because the little kids were getting all this attention and they weren't anymore because the 2 and 3 year olds. And so I was just very, like I said, be honest with them, be open with them. Don't try to hide stuff that's going in your own life to try to like be overprotective of like, well, I have to be a big strong man and make sure nobody ever knows what's going on inside my head. But yeah, I told him, look, when you guys were 2 and 3 years old, you got all the attention, 100% of the attention. Your brothers are 2 and 3 right now, and you guys still get attention, but they need more attention right now. When you guys are all a little older, it's all going to even out, So are you cool with that, basically? And they're like, and they understood it. right? They're like, oh yeah, well, okay, that makes sense. And they totally freaking chilled out. If you're like I keep hounding on, being honest with your kids and don't think they're stupid. Kids are not stupid. You know, they don't understand everything in the world, but they understand a heck of a lot more than we think they understand. So just talk to them. Not like little adults or anything, but talk to them like they're intelligent and reason things out with them, and you'll be surprised how far you can get.
I agree. There's no manual for parenthood, especially for being a father, and no two children are alike and no two parents are alike. And I truly believe the hardest job on the planet is being a parent. It's fluid, has high consequences, because if you screw up, you can screw up the life of a whole nother person.
Yeah.
So it's taxing, it's stressful, it stabs at your heart all the time.
And it's the best.
Yes, it's the best. It's the most fulfilling thing that you can do.
Yeah.
Learn your children. Learn what gets to them. Learn what doesn't. Be careful the things you do, because they will see it. Even when you think they're not watching, they're watching you, and they were picking up everything they can from you when they're in the house. So you just have to stay on it day after day after day. It's not where you can times where you can just sit back and say, oh, today, you know what, I don't care if you burn down the house.
Hey, let me say this real quick.
Yeah.
Because I think because of some of the nonsense that's said about Comicsgate, if you're going to come in here to Mike Miller's chat, right? We do believe in freedom of speech, but you're also coming into Mike Miller's house, right? You're not going to use racist slurs. You're not going to use anti-Semitic stuff. You're not going to use homophobic slurs and stuff like that. You need to keep your communications respectable, right? We're not going to allow you to assault, assail, or degrade people here. It's just not going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You
heard the big man.
I don't care. You can assault me, but my wife and kids are Jewish, so keep your anti-Semitism to yourself. Lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it's like everyone just dropped a nuke and everybody got confused. Like, okay, I don't know where we are.
Yeah. So, and it's I imagine you're getting trolled. You're getting trolled because you're Comicsgate, and people are saying all this stuff about, you know, Comicsgate is misogynist, racist, homophobic, and stuff. No, we're gonna have fundamental respect for people here. Yep. And if you want to talk with anti-Semitic language, with racist language, there's some place where you can do that. It's just not here. You don't have to go away mad, but you got to go away.
Yeah. We ain't got time for your crap.
Yeah, parenting, man, it was the toughest deal that I ever thought that I would do. Especially since I didn't grow up with a father in the house, I had to kind of learn how to be a father on the fly. And I still don't think I've completely learned. I'm not a master at it. I'm still maybe a journeyman at it. So
nobody's perfect.
No, you know, and I tell my kids, you know, I've tried my best to teach you everything I can to prepare you for the real world. Nothing more, nothing less. I don't want you to come into this world with a lot of these children, older children, like the 30-year-old ones, and the younger children, are as far as all the way down to minors. They have the vision of the ideal world. And what I try to teach my children, there is an ideal world of how things really should be and how those things could be. But then I also teach you how the reality is and how it's not those things.
Yeah.
You don't have safe areas to run to.
That's right.
There's very little protection. Once you walk out of this door as a full-fledged adult, you're now at the mercy of the winds of reality. And you must learn how to deal with those and push forward. If I cannot teach you that, then I have failed as a father.
Yeah. Absolutely, brother. We're copacetic. Now this
I always appreciate it.
freaking Skywalker guy. Oh, brother. As a Jew, I would love to help ban these fools. Did we get rid of them? Are they back? Are they gone? I hope they're gone. I mean, why do people waste their time?
No home training.
Just to get us to talk about them, really.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it.
Oh, wow. GDL says, my grandfather was an artist for DC Comics, but he died on the USS Liberty.
Wow.
Wow. That's amazing. I don't see any more. So, well, this was great. You guys got anything else? Anything else you want to discuss? I didn't realize it was going to turn into this, but I'm glad it did.
Yeah, we went from Jedi to parenting real quick.
Well, maybe some people got helped out, and that's wonderful.
Yeah.
The
thing
sorry,
is
I was so quiet tonight.
The Jedi can't be parents, so they don't know how to.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, now is what was happening today a form of intimidation, where people were taking snippets from videos and then trying to create propaganda for it, so that now when you're live streaming, right, when you're trying to have an honest and off the cuff conversation with your fans, and with the people who support you, you will feel inhibited, and you'll be censoring yourself.
Well, I think it's funny. Rhaegar says, Blacklist Universe, it could be a campaign to sully your channel with anti-Semitic comments, which is what you're saying, which is hilarious because, like I said, my wife and kids are Jewish, so good luck. People are so dumb. I don't know how they tie their shoes in the morning. Somebody
scolded me on Twitter. And this guy is actually sort of friendly to Comicsgate. I think this was about the DC Comics thing. Let's see, I always like to get some criticism, because you can't be above criticism. What does he say?
Now, hold on. JR for $1.99. Mike, they're trying to sabotage the movement. Yeah, they've really stepped it up the last few days. It's funny.
Yeah, it's I tell you what, I got a call. I'm not going to tell you who from, but from an artist that people would know. Very, very upset about all this. Very upset about how fans and pros, about how fans are being treated, how creators are being targeted, and it's gotten way too far. It's gotten way too ugly and way too bad. I certainly feel uncomfortable.
Yeah,
with some of the crap that we see about ourselves and things to see. Obviously, what happened to you today, Mike, but was really particularly nasty. Trying to take things out of context and paint you as something very ugly that you're not. And it's so it is just incredibly evil. It's incredibly evil because what you're doing is taking the worst magic word you have in your language, right? If you're going to hang an anchor around someone's neck verbally, how would you do that? Well, that they're doing it. They're finding the ugliest magic words to try to hang around people's necks, to sink them with, for no other reason than either they're acting out of ignorance or out of malevolence. So I don't know. It's disturbing people. It's disturbing people.
Yeah.
What was Mitch? What was I forget. Were you in here with us when we were watching DC's Project Launch and we were interacting in their chat?
I was not, but I did hear about. I did hear about it, and I was there for the aftermath.
Did anybody call you up to scold you and say, what are you crazy kids doing?
No, I don't. I didn't. Did people got scolded? I just thought it was in good fun. But
Yeah.
I don't know what good. I don't know what passes for good fun anymore. A few laughs at the expense of a large international corporation never hurt anybody's feelings. I don't think until now. I mean, really?
Well, I'm
it's a little immature, but I mean, come on.
I'm going to take this scolding from a young man. His name is Ian Miller. I've known him for about a year on Twitter. He's a Christian, seems to be a thoughtful young man. He says, after what Comicsgate did to the DCU stream, I hate what Comicsgate is doing too. And not because I think they are a hate group, but because they are deliberately shooting civilians. And I think he's talking about he's coming at this from the perspective that we may have ruined the fun or enjoyment for people who just showed up to enjoy the stream. Though I'm going to be honest, from what we saw, you might have had to been a pod person to enjoy that program. So what else?
I think that's what made it kind of funny. I mean, it was the whole thing. The whole thing was. I don't know the show. I don't want to bash DC or their show. I wish them very, very well.
Yeah,
but it seemed a little goofy to me personally. That's my personal take.
Well, that was my observation. I was wondering who it was made for. But you know what I mean? You at least me, I try to be willing to accept criticism and then look at it. Let's see. All right, twice in 2 weeks, claiming a dead man for their movement, then attacking his widow, now making things gross for completely uninvolved fans. They need to stop yesterday. Now, he's talking about Darwin Cook. I didn't really know the person who posted that video. And maybe he's talking about Ethan's claim because he's met Darwin and Billy Tucci had met Darwin.
Oh, Billy Tucci knew Darwin, yeah.
Yeah. Now I err on the side of Mike here, where even if Mr. Cook's widow was saying some unpalatable things, to let her have it just because of it's grief for her husband. And a lot of people let their friends and their associates filter their opinions. But I think there's never a good scenario where you're trying to online without any in-person context raising your keyboard voice to a widow. I think it's a poor choice. Yeah. It's just not a useful conflict.
It's not a winnable scenario. It's the Kobayashi Maru.
I don't understand how some people view social media. And my biggest problem with social media, or at least how people use social media, where is when you espouse something on social media, it is to essentially a public audience, especially on Twitter. Anybody can see it. Anybody can retweet it. Anybody can reply to it. Even the best comics have hecklers in the crowd. Not saying it should be done. Not saying that it's even, if it's even cordial to do anything like that. But as soon as somebody says #Comicsgate, we don't even know if they are truly Comicsgate or fans of Comicsgate, and they say something like that, our entire movement gets blamed for it. And that kind of rubs me wrong in a couple of ways. I don't understand how someone can be chased off of Twitter when all you had to do is not look at it.
Yeah.
Or mute them or block them or do whatever. You have tools available. If it's gotten so bad to where you just, you're losing your hair while reading Twitter, there are tools for you available, to not have that on your page. So that part, and it comes down to this whole, I can say what I want to say on Twitter or Facebook or Instagram or wherever your choice of ground is. But if somebody contradicts you, says you're wrong, and even in the most simplest way, it becomes a hate, and then where you're getting labeled with these evil names that we brought up before, because you posted a contradiction to someone speaking in a public forum. You're talking in the public forum. Somebody from the crowd just heckled you. I'm not saying it's right. I mean, it's actually very, very poor taste. But you didn't expect that? You didn't think that was going to happen? I mean, every time I post something online, you know there's a high probability somebody A is not going to like it, or I'm going to get called Uncle Tom or the dude from Django or something like that, which has happened. I kind of just shake my head. I might reply to it if I felt like it that day, and I move on. For me, the wife of Darn Cook, she ran in with a tank of gas and just doused that fire with nothing but gas. And I was like, oh, as soon as I saw it, I was like, here it comes. Here we go. And I already know what is going to happen, because her being a widow, that's going to get thrown out the window. Now you're just another one of those voices on Twitter, and is going to garner that response, which you should expect. And I think she did. I mean, I don't know if it's because she was, in mourning for her husband, and I feel sad for her. I don't know Darwin Cook. I don't know his work. I really didn't know the man at all. But anytime a woman's husband or even a man's wife dies, I feel bad for him. But I'm sitting back like, okay, go mourn your husband. Go do that. That's your responsibility. If you want to jump on social media and fight the crowds, then the crowd is going to fight you. They're not going to care. So don't come out here, don't run out there with your white flag and an AK-47. I surrender while you're popping off shots. You can't do that. Somebody's going to fight back. And I think that's what happened in a lot of this case. I don't know how it started. I missed the post that Ethan supposedly had put out or said on his live stream. I didn't see it. I looked for it, but all I saw was the aftermath, the battle after.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't on the live stream. Somebody had posted a video of Darwin saying things that were 100% in line with everything that Comicsgate is about. And then the guy said Darwin would have been Comicsgate, which, who's to say? But his widow got on there and said, I'm to say, and he wouldn't have. He thought you guys were a bunch of idiots. I mean, if you won't just boil it down. JR for $1.99. All Comicsgate live streams get anti-Semitism now. Seriously? And another one, glad to super chat another $2 to drown out trolls.
Thank you.
Oh, and then another one. Again, JR, greatest minority under attack is the individual. Yeah, that's true. The individual is the greatest minority.
Oh, this is funny. I think John Malin is mad with power. He's become Thanos. He timed out that umbrella guy. Umbrella's firing up now. There's gonna be a righteous rent. Mitch, are you doing okay, man? You look like you're running out of gas. Okay.
It is a little late for me.
Okay.
It is a little late.
I just had to neuter John. I'm gonna give Umbrella Guy a wrench now.
Oh no! All right, so let me go back to this scolding.
Okay.
Let's see. So he says, what does Ian mean? And now, nobody say anything bad to Ian, because I like this young man. So please do not be angry at him on my behalf, because I like the young man. Let's see. He's talking about when we were doing the commentary. He says Edwin Boyette and John Malin both did it. Neither are kids. Well, sometimes I am. I lost a huge amount of respect for both in seconds. Whatever you do about it, don't defend it or minimize it. He's talking to the person he's arguing with. You don't have to blow it out of proportion, but it is clear that they act badly, and that should be said. And then Malin told him, we're responding to sexual harassment of our friend by an artist currently working for DC Comics that sent an unwanted picture of his butthole. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's just such bizarre days. Oh. All right.
Yeah. What have I drug my wife into?
The ridiculous.
I apologize every day. I'm like, I'm here. Here we are in this place where people are flinging around their butthole pictures at our friends, and you're in the middle of it.
Oh no, getting caught in the crossfire.
Crossfire.
Oh no.
Yeah, it really stinks.
Oh.
Anus gate. The saga continues.
They hate us because they ain't us.
All right, let me see if I can read through because
All right, hold on. James 499. I haven't laughed this hard at a chat ever. Aloha.
oh.
Oh, what's going on in the chat?
Oh. All right, let me see if I can get this out. We're responding to sexual harassment of our friend by an artist currently working for DC Comics that sent an unwanted picture of his butthole. We waited for action. Butthole action, I guess. Oh no.
The great viral eye of Sauron.
Or Edwin.
Nearly a week, and by all accounts, no response from DC Comics. If this was sent to you, how would you feel? And then Ian Miller says, furious. But do the fans in the DCU chat deserve your fury? Let's see. So Ian Miller says it shrinks influence, loses any moral high ground. Well, you know, once butthole pictures are in the mix. And worst of all, it decreases intensity by blowing off steam on something completely unproductive. I don't know. Call me idealistic, but I believe the moral high ground is worth more than some bad Star Wars lines. I think that was kind of effective, you know, because it kind of sent a message. But here's what I'll say. Comics pros have been making statements, some pretty harsh statements about people in our community, our fans, our supporters, and the creators who have decided to associate with us, right? To associate with the consumers in Comicsgate for the last 2 years. And there's been some pretty horrible stuff said to fans. And I think me and Mike were talking about this earlier. The only comics creators that I've heard reprimanded in public, one was Max Bemis when Nasser kind of called him in public, right? And kind of forced him into it at the, was that C2E2?
I think so. I think that's the only show Nasser goes to. Yeah,
and so CB Cebulski kind of gave a non-apology and said that Max Bemis was kind of being punk rock, yeah? And the only other pro I'm aware of being castigated is Ethan Van Sciver.
Yeah.
And
so I can understand what Ian's saying, and to a degree I could agree with it, but put into greater context, I mean, the fans don't deserve it.
Yeah.
The fans don't deserve it. But DC is being completely hypocritical on their own standards. And had they addressed this properly, that wouldn't have happened at all.
Yeah, yeah.
There would have been no anus gate.
But
I'm sorry, I can't help myself.
There's some cases you do need gatekeepers. That's for sure. This is one.
I'm not watching that gate.
In my defense, this was all Nasser's idea.
that sounds likely. When in doubt, blame Nasser.
I went back and I watched it today, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, Nasser's the one that kept pushing us to go over there."
Well, yeah, I think Nasser might have. I mean, he is only 21 or 22, right?
And
he may still have a bit of youthful trollishness to his young character.
Yeah. Well,
he suggested something similar while I was on the chat, and I said, well, maybe we should just go through the normal channels. That's what I would recommend.
JR for $1.99. To be fair, Mitch was on Poop Stream the other day.
Oh, man. How long will this be with us?
I don't like the words poop and stream together. That's it's bad visuals.
Oh, so what was I going to say? But the thing is, I'm willing to accept criticism from people because it will be all right. I'm not so insecure, right, or so arrogant that I can't take criticism from somebody. Now, I don't think anybody can take like criticism 24/7 and just devote your whole time to addressing people's criticism. But from somebody I know and somebody I've talked to, yeah, absolutely. So, Ian Miller, thank you for your observations. I appreciate your good intentions.
Ian used to comment on my stuff quite a bit. I don't know if I've seen him around lately, but if you listen to this, come back, say hello.
He's a Christian. He'll forget.
Yeah, and he's a good guy. He's a good guy. He's just got a different perspective. Wow, you've got 21 thumbs down, Mike Miller.
Oh my gosh, I am being trolled.
The anti-Semites do not enjoy your content. Why is that?
I don't know.
And why are they just now appearing?
They must hate me because I'm Japanese and I married a Jew. It must be the alt-right.
Wow.
That's all I can think of.
Yeah, I'm alt-right too. Oh wait.
You're alt-white.
Yeah, see. Yeah. I can just call me
white.
Yeah, call me off-black.
I call myself off-white because I'm half yellow. So I heard Colonel Comics for $5 Australian. I heard the word anus more in the last few days. All the rest of my years combined. I didn't become the Colonel for anus. And yet you had to say it twice. Colonel Comics, anus!
And so this is the interesting position to be in. You're now simultaneously hated by apparently the alt-right. I don't know. Maybe they heard that we were infringing on their gig. I don't know, from the SJWs. So the Marxists hate you and the alt-right hate you. So you get squozing in between two different poles of radicals.
Yay! That means we're in the right place.
Yeah.
Yep.
Requited says there are very few real alt-right people. That is exactly right.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. There's very few alt-right. I think even from the SPLC, there's only like somewhere between 6,000 or 8,000 KKK members in the entire United States. Probably about the same amount of neo-Nazis. This is fringe behavior.
Which means if you go by statistics and percentages, that means there's probably about 60 of them that read comic books.
Oh, Mitch, Mr. Thondaro says he misses your streams. Have you not been streaming as much, Mitch?
No, not. I'm going to get back to it. I'm very anxious to.
Is it because you've been coloring somebody else's?
Yeah, we're just really. This is a pretty tight turnaround, and it's an important job for us. We're working over an artist that we admire a great deal, and with a prolific and talented writer, and we want to fulfill this client obligation, and that's our first priority. Is fulfilling our obligations. So I'll pick my stream back up, and I'll begin Red Rooster full time in very, very, very short order, probably like a week and a half or so.
Hey, how many likes do I have?
You have 133. It looks like.
Hey guys, there's 291 of us in here. Could we drown out the dislikes and just flood this thing with likes so that my ratio, my KD is good? Is solid. Chicken Sith for $5. Two reasons they're coming out now. They're scared because they're losing, and because Zach left the stage as a target. Zach left the stage. Is Zach not doing anything right now?
Well, I know he's not active on Twitter. Is he not doing live streams anymore?
I don't know.
Just I don't watch a whole lot of comic reviews anymore because I can come on here and I can talk to people who are making the comics that I'm actually interested in. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And I'm really simply not consuming a whole lot of corporate comics anymore.
I'm waiting for that fulcrum shift. I'm waiting for that fulcrum shift in the big two, because it's going to come out of nowhere. Just wait. When it happens, they're gonna peel back and act like nothing happened before. Look, it's the new X-Men. Look, it's the new Avengers all over again. Just wait.
Well, they do that all the time.
Yep, that's why I'm waiting on it. That's why I'm waiting on it. It's like, oh, now you want to come join what we already had been doing.
No, they would have to. They don't care. They're in get woke, go broke mode, and they don't care about losing money. Obviously, otherwise they would do something different. But
you would think there is a line where, I mean, wherever that magical line is, we have no idea. But there is a magical line
crossed by editorial, though. That magical line will come down from either the CEO or the CFO will come down and say, how on earth do we have the most popular movie franchise on planet Earth, and you people who own the license to the comic books are losing money with them?
Correct. I agree. It's probably going to come from on high in Disney.
I was watching the Image documentary, and they were saying that's what happened when Jim Lee and Rob Liefeld went to Marvel to have the Heroes Reborn discussion. There was no editorial in the room. It was all suits and the money men, and they're like, "What do you want? Take it."
Yeah,
they're like, the guys that are running Marvel clearly don't know what they're doing with these characters. So what would you guys do? Because you're clearly, very successful with whatever. So.
I fully expect it. I don't know when. I'm thinking it's probably the next year or so, maybe 2 years. But I'm expecting for that fulcrum shift, man. And you're going to see all the stuff that we've been wanting, or the fans that our customer base currently at Comicsgate is getting from us. You wait. Because especially if money keeps continuing to flow within Comicsgate, somebody's going to take notice at the higher ups, the guys, the bean counter, and they're going to say, well, those guys are making all this money there. Why aren't we doing that?
Yeah, well, here's I think a few things may happen, and I'm a little tired, so cut me some slack here. So Elizabeth and I we raised 100. We're 106. We just cost $167,000. We didn't start any drama. We're out there just trying to make the fans happy, be enthusiastic about our product, and we're, I think we're pretty well known and respected talent within the industry, and kind of know enough people, even though some of them have kind of turned their backs on us, unfortunately. But a lot of people did watch what happened and what we did without attempting at all or to be controversial or dramatic or anything, just selling products to customers that felt like they weren't being served properly by other comic book makers, or treated in a way that they felt like they deserved. So we did it, and with just under 3,000 backers, we raised that amount of money. Any sensible comic book artist and all of these, many of these artists are great creators on their own right. They've been sitting on piles of story ideas for years and years. Think, well, I could probably get out there and hustle up 3,000 backers and make a better living than I'm making right now. And they don't have to be what's the right word?
Comicsgate.
Flamboyant as Ethan. Ethan is a little flamboyant. I think he would admit to that. Or charismatic.
They don't have to be Comicsgate.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They just all they need is those 3,000 backers. They need 3,000 backers and a fun product, and they can come out and do it on their own if they're willing to. But they have to. What we're trying to do is fans and engage them directly, give them what they want, cultivate a culture of enthusiasm and joy around the service and the product that you're offering. And that's what this is about. If creators see that instead, this is what they really fear, in my opinion. There's a fear of this succeeding because decent, professional, talented creators and family men and women and people that have spent years inside the business and have a fan base see what is going on and think, well, I could do this too. You know, without risking probably too much. And they're losing every year the avoidance of risk factor. So it's like, well, if things are getting worse every year in comics, or the pie is shrinking every year, then I'm more and more willing to take the risk of jumping out on my own. And now I think with Red Rooster, we sort of helped to prove that is a successful route. Could happen as creators are just going to kind of start jumping off and trying this because they can make more money. And that's going to shrink the pie even more because the money will be, instead of going to Marvel and DC, there'll be more money going into the independent space, which I think is wonderful, direct to the creators. Yeah. I don't care who you are, what your politics are, but I do think you will succeed in this space if you treat the fans with respect, listen to their concerns, and do a product that's true to yourself, but also that tries to, you know, catch a pretty wide net and really touch something deep.
And read their super chats. Harry Bergeron for $4.99 says, I have Sauron Bob Iger will look at comics when they see their brand is harmed. That people stop looking at those heroes the same. Then people will stop looking at those heroes the same. Yeah, I think so. I think so. Tug!
Hey there, how's it going? Hey, did you see that, man? John Malin went insane. I mean, he was waving that ring around, knocked me over the head for like 3 seconds. I don't know, it was like half a year. I was sitting there thinking, man, I'm gonna get him back. But just remember, John Malin, like, I won't get you right now. I'm gonna have my kids stalk you one day in a chat, bam, sometime from here. Hey, what's up with all the dislikes, man? I kept thinking, is there a party or something? Should I dislike it too?
I think I'm suddenly supposed to be anti-Semitic or something. I should tell my Jewish wife because she'll probably want to divorce me.
Well, you know, I was wondering what was going on with all that Nazi thing. You know, I thought, wait, this isn't that party? Shit. Let me go home.
I don't think my trolls checked my bio very well. Gibbons, 1138 for $5. It's been 20 years since I bought a comic book. In the last 2 days, I spent over 200 bucks. Back y'all. Thank you for making comics fun again. Thank you, Gibbons, for supporting us. Without you, without the audience, none of this happens. You guys are the foundation of this entire movement. So thank you.
Thank you. Gibbons, Asgard starts in 8 days. Save some of that money.
There you go. Asgard, 8 days.
Wait till you guys see Ben's video. It's freaking rad. Did you do all that yourself?
No, Prevalent Mind Studios. He's on our Twitter. He's a Comicsgate guy. He wanted to do it. I saw he did someone's. I can't remember. And I started talking to him. I was like, you know what? I want something like that. You know, hook it up, man. So I paid him, and he hooked it up for me.
Sweet. Yeah, that looks cool, man. I think you'll do well with that because having a good video is like super, super important to having it successful.
I think so.
So, Tug, did you have something to add to this conversation?
Are you wanting to come in?
Just a second. I have another mic apparently playing in the background somewhere else. That creep.
I've got Ben's 0 issue of Asgard open on my computer now. This is the 0 issue, right, Ben?
No.
Yeah, I wanted to do
all of it
as a pilot, like a pilot issue, like they do pilot episodes of a television show, to give just a wide brush of the entire story, the characters, and the world. That way, when I got into this miniseries, I didn't have to play too much with all that stuff. I could just go directly in and make it character generated, a character focused story for the miniseries versus, you know, all the world building, all the back mythos that I wanted to include.
You told me, but I cannot remember. Who did your colors for you, Ben?
His name is Gregory Price. He usually goes by Splash online, and there's I want to say 8 or 10 pages done by Edward Bola, and now Edward Bola is the full-time colorist on chapter 1, the one that will be going to Indiegogo in how many days, folks? Who's going to say it?
8 days.
8 days.
Actually, it's 12 a.m. in my town right now. So but yeah, those guys really put in work. I'm very.
You might want to say the date over and over again. Just as a marketing tactic? So instead of counting down the days.
Well, I have been saying the date so often. I was like, I wanted to do a bit of a countdown.
Oh,
but
yeah,
sure.
Gotcha. Yeah.
September 8th, my 42nd
September 8th.
birthday.
Everybody, September 8th. Don't forget it. Don't forget it.
Yeah, so I'm very particular colorist, so I really wanted these guys that had a very distinctive style with these vibrant, almost retina-searing colors. That's the way I used to love my comic books to look. So I didn't want to go with the muted hues that they tend to use in comic books now. I wanted stuff that was going to pop.
Yeah,
that creeped me out, man. I had a Discord apparently open in the background. I was like, God, is that you? Why does God sound like Yellow Flash? It's creeping me out. I've heard in mysterious ways, but shit, not this.
Language, you're on the Aloha Hour.
I'm sorry. Shoot. What's this? My bad.
Mr. Thundera for $2. Hey, Mike, what page are you working on? I'm working on page 33, and you can't see it. Liam for Australian 5. I've read some of Asgard. Ben is extremely talented creator, and he does the art, the writing, a real strong work ethic. I was impressed. Well, you've got a big fan in the chat, Ben.
Well,
Ben, your letters look really professional. Like, did you do that or did you hire somebody?
I hired somebody.
They look really nice. Yeah, you did a great job.
Yeah, he was a guy that he was circling the independent market on several other books. Bob Sally, he's the writer, creator of Salvagers, independent guy, an independent book. And I talked with him and I liked the letters on his book. So I was like, hey, who did your letters? And led me to this guy because I really wanted my book to be look as mainstream as possible. I wanted my book to be able to sit next to X-Men or Spider-Man and people couldn't tell a quality difference.
Yeah.
And so far it was close. That was my first book I've ever drawn. So, you know, I know John Malin and I, we kind of went over some of what I felt were weaknesses in the book as far as art-wise. And I went with writers over some of the stuff that was weak, that I considered weak. And chapter 1 is more a coming out party. If the prologue book was preseason, this is going to be the game 1 of the real season for the miniseries. I made a lot of improvements and really kind of paid close attention to the craft of comic books. That's what I love, is the craft of it.
Well, it certainly does look like it could have been published by Marvel.
Oh, I don't know. That's kind of a low bar.
To me,
whoever thought that would be an insult, you know, whoever thought that.
Were you it reminds me of like comic books from like the very late 90s. Like, I don't know, like something you'd see out of Cross Gen or something maybe with a little more gore.
Yeah. You know, I grew up, I cut my artistic teeth on 90s books in that style. It's kind of where both John Malin and I both kind of come from, is that bombastic, in-your-face style. I think I've just included more storytelling into my techniques, trying to use, instead of every page just being that supremely bombastic where the story gets left behind and it's all flash, it's all dazzle in your face. Like, I'm very more cautious in
That's an Image comic you're talking about.
Correct. You know, back then, you know.
John Malin would want to know, do you know how to draw your serratus anterior?
Yes.
All right.
I don't know if I can draw mine because I can't really see it. But yeah, it's, you know, it's just one of those things. You know, I'm not the best artist. I will never proclaim to be that. I'm not the best writer, but I'm just a single creator out here swimming in the deep waters with all you guys that have 20 plus years in the industry and have done all that stuff. I'm just a guy in his office that I used to sell, you know, commission work to people, and it was a big fulcrum shift for myself to go into the storytelling mode versus doing pinups. And I think, you know, that's
a totally different skill set.
It is. And, you know, one guy just recently, I think he was a fan. I don't know if he's another artist, but he said, yeah, you need to pull back your camera, you know, let the reader be able to enjoy everything and really set the reader into the environment. And I was like, yeah, I agree with you, because I was looking through the book and I was like, okay, you know, it was one of my own critiques that I had put on myself. And he was like, wow, you're not mad or anything? I was like, no, you know, I mean, as an artist, you put your work out there, somebody's going to have something to say, good, bad, or otherwise. So yeah. I just try to learn. As long as I'm learning, I'm happy.
All right. Now, so you can go ahead and tell me, have you ever worn this suit to the club?
I want to. I want to so bad. Especially with those shoulder pads. That's like straight 1985. You know, I think Madonna used to wear something similar to this. So
those are MC Hammer shoulder pads right there.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. Yeah, it's pretty fitting.
On the next issue, you have to give them those parachute pants.
Oh God. You know, don't make me just do a special pinup with that. Just him, Desmond dressed as MC Hammer, and I'll send it to him.
This looks fantastic, man. I really think you're gonna do well, and we'll all pump you up.
Yeah, I'm hoping so. I have a secret number that I think I'm going to hit around, and I'm usually pretty good, except for I think it was Mitch's book. I think he hit lower than I thought he was. I was expecting 200K.
Okay,
this
is an important question. Well, first of all, Bagel Goose, $2 coming out party. Wait, who's gay? What?
I have no idea.
I don't know what you're talking about. Cross Comics, Ben Jones, what is Asgard about? Pitch it, son.
All right. So Asgard is following Desmond Gant, who has bonded with Mjolnir, the magical hammer from Norse mythology, and the spiritual essence of Mjolnir, one of the storm crows of Odin. He is thrust into this mythological war of 8 pantheons of gods on Earth while trying to save a daughter that he denied was his.
Layers. Layers.
Yes.
Already.
Yeah, it's a very interesting story. I think I've told it on other live streams. That one pivotal point in his life where he denied the daughter was actually directly from my own life. So I'm wondering, you know, I'm using this character to, you know, exercise my own internal demons, so to speak. But it's very interesting. I wanted to deal with parenthood. It was amazingly that we just talked about that, and fatherhood in this superhero-esque environment of fantasy and mythology all rolled into one. You know, I like to see my characters not just evolve, but make choices that maybe the reader doesn't agree with, or maybe the reader does. I kind of go with the Stephen King method of writing, where he creates characters, and, you know, does a lot of work on character development before he starts writing. The plots are fairly simple, but it's, okay, I have all these characters. Here's the situation, go. So I have my characters, you know, deal with these situations as that character would deal with it. And the only thing I have solid right now is the ending. I know exactly how the ending. So I just got to plot the course to that ending using the choices that they make.
Right. Yeah, that's what stories are about. Stories aren't about, you know, a guy with laser vision or a guy who can lift mountains or a girl who can phase through objects. Stories are about people,
right,
and characters and situations and the fantastic elements of particular people's lives and how they would deal with them. I mean, that's the science fiction and the comic booky stuff and all that stuff. But if you can't tell a story about a person or people, then you're just, you're writing an old Image comic in the 90s.
Yeah, and you can do that. I mean, it's not the kind of book I want to write, but you can do that. I wanted something. I always felt when Chris Claremont is my favorite comic book writer of all time.
Yes.
And when he involved you as the reader with the characters, that's one of the reasons we get so ticked off when they screw around with our characters. I'm like, hey, wait a minute, we got all these decades, this backstory, but what's going on? Chris Claremont was one of those guys that gave us so much character story, like the X-Men. And I remember
weird tangent here. One of my favorite images of any issue of X-Men is when Kitty Pryde, Paul Smith drew, and Chris Claremont wrote, Kitty Pryde at the doorway, turning around to the reader saying, Professor Xavier is a jerk, in like normal street clothes or, a jacket and whatever and all that stuff. It wasn't some crazy, Wolverine attacking a Sentinel or anything like that. It was that because it was about the characters and about the, that was the story. So yeah, sorry, you just keep talking about Claremont. Brought that to mind.
I just met Chris 2 years ago. Me and him had a nice little talk at my table here in El Paso, and I told him, I learned how to read from his books, and those characters, I was learning how to read through storytelling. And I have always been a storyteller. I'm not necessarily, quote unquote, a writer. Oh, God. Oh, I thought somebody was putting up a picture of an anus again. Edwin has me nervous.
It was, well, on Tug's show today, Robbie Rectum made an appearance.
I laughed so hard.
Oh, man, I couldn't
Elizabeth was in the other room. I could hear her laughing.
God, I couldn't even ask him questions.
When the Baby Ruth came out, though. Oh my!
Hey, we learned how you can get a job at DC. How you can take over. All you need is know is a few tricks.
Oh man, because I'm watching the YouTube stream, so I'm seeing everything later, and then I just see that face come across. Like, what in there? What is that? Oh no. But yeah, Asgard is 90% about fatherhood. The fate, sometimes the failings of a father, the virtues of being a father, all rolled up in one, and trying to make choices based on, do you do your duty to the rest of the world, or do you do your duty to your child?
Ben, can I steal your spotlight for just a second?
I have no spotlight, sir.
I just popped over to Graveyard Shift. John Malin is at $39,798. He's only $202 from 40,000. So if anybody's thinking about taking a look at Graveyard Shift, hop in there. That would kind of be cool to see him hit $40,000.
That book needs to make 50, because that's what I told him. This is minimum 50K. That's my number for Graveyard Shift before it even came out. That's what I told him.
What does he have?
He's gonna beat that pretty well, I think.
Yeah, he's got 19 days left. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's easy. That'll be easy.
Yeah, I mean, realistically for Asgard right now, the goal will be 10K. I think I can hit maybe 20, somewhere around there, because I'm not coming in with a indoctrinated fan base that's already there, other than what I've built up on Twitter, is because I haven't worked for Marvel or DC or anything. I don't have any of those accolades. So I'm just coming in as the normal guy. So I want to see, I got to beat Brand if Antonio's watching somewhere.
Well, a horse race never hurts. I think.
Yeah. He was talking a little noise to me the other night. I'm like, okay. But he and Kanan, I've been knowing Kanan for a long time. So if I could beat Kanan this one time, I'll be all right. But I think I could hit 20. That's what I'm kind of expecting. Maybe the fans will make me a liar, and then Mike will never talk to me again. But
he's catching on.
But that's what I think, and I think it's a good enough book for that. I can put my book up against any of the mainstream books happily, and like, okay, we can go toe to toe every day, all day. Let's do it.
Are you building up your YouTube channel?
Yeah, I usually only do live streams while I'm drawing. I've said it before in other streams. I don't have as much time because I work 12 to 16 hours a day, and I pull in about an average of 60 hours a week at the day job. So that left time over is drawing, and so I try to combine it. Like, hey, you can watch me draw a page, and that usually doesn't garner as much attention as some of the more bombastic channels. So I try, I do what I can. I try to show up on these streams when I can. That's why guys haven't seen me all week because I was working. And today I got to go meet AmeriCorps. Who is killing the cat?
No, sorry.
I got to go to AmeriCorps after-school program for some elementary kids, and I gave them some of the Asgard Zero books, some prints, and talked about art. Pretty much what I was saying, how I, raised my children. I was teaching them that I don't care what somebody tells you can't do. If you put enough work in, you can do it, and that type of thing. And the teachers loved me. The kids didn't want me to leave. I think I got about 19 group hugs before I was able to actually leave the room. But yeah, so that took out a lot of my day, but I had fun doing it.
Right on.
Oh yeah, I got that right here. Let's see. See if I can. Yeah. You wanna give me focus real quick, Mike? Oh, and I'll show you that.
Not your back hole, is it?
No. Yeah. There you go. Well done, man.
Wait, what are you showing?
His face.
Is it not? Why did it not? Why is it being so difficult? I'm sorry. Let me do that again. Application window.
Come on.
This is irritating.
You can figure
Yep.
it out. We believe in you. Tug unplugged.
Tug unplugged.
Is that your print? Looks like
Well, I see some Asgard comic books. Is that which one is that? Is that the Zero bin?
Yes, that's the Zero issue, and I gave each kid a print. I just grabbed a box stuff and just like, okay, pick one, and then I gave the teachers metal prints of the same things to let them pick. Didn't cost me anything, and it really helped them out. These kids, they don't have much money at home, and even if they are able to go to a comic convention, they're probably not going to be able to afford to buy anything. So, hey, I'm here. I'm not losing any money. So here you go, kids. I'm hooking y'all up today.
Yeah, man.
There you go. Well, maybe you made some new fans. But yeah, every time I bring Ben, I've had Ben on my channel a couple times, and every time I bring him on, everybody goes crazy for him. So I'm hoping Asgard's going to do real good.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, people get a little excited because I tend to be a little bit more real than a lot of people can be. I kind of just go. I'm trying very hard because I have a very bad potty mouth, but I know my environment. So I am trying my hardest to be very cautious of the verbiage that comes out of my mouth right now. But when I'm a bit looser, and if somebody gets me going on a subject that burns me up inside, I can go pretty hard on people, sometimes too hard. And if I have went too hard on somebody, I'm sorry, but I am speaking from the heart. I'm not lying to you. I'm just speaking directly from my heart. And if you don't like it, I'm sorry. If you don't like me because of it, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to change who I am.
Well, I don't like you anymore.
Goodbye.
No, I appreciate you being here, man. I'm look forward to seeing Asgard. But hey, let's sell some Lone Star too while we're at it. For those who may not know, if you haven't been here every single night for the last 3 days, I have a new cover available for Lone Star at LoneStarComic.com. It is the Comicsgate Alliance piece that started a whole lot of controversy in this space for some stupid reason. Anyways, so it is the third cover available. You don't have to buy it, obviously. If you want to, it's there. It only comes as a signed edition. Also, if you were one of the backers of the Lone Star for the Troops perk, bonus, you get it for free. So congratulations. You just got an extra free thing for backing the troops. Thanking you guys for backing the troops. And also, if anybody else buys that, it just became the deal of the century. You get the 3 covers. You get the books shipped to the troops. And, I mean, okay, so just the 3 covers alone is like $75 worth of books. So then you get all the books sent to the troops, because they're all signed, right? $25. And it's free shipping. So literally, it's the best deal on the entire site. And you get to send books to the troops, which is my favorite part of the deal. So LoneStarComic.com. If you are interested, go check it out. Mitch, sell some Rooster.
Well, Red Rooster Golden Age is still available on Indiegogo as an in-demand product on the store. Same link. It's on my Twitter bio. It's everywhere. You know, we've made quite a bit of money. We've done pretty well. We had nearly 3,000 pre-orders so far for the book. I'd love to see it go over 3,000. That's kind of my next goal that I'm shooting for. We'll be turning pages. I'll be getting onto pages here in about a week and a half or so, as soon as we're done with this client project. And I'm very excited to show those. I'm very excited to start working on this. But you know, if you only have so much money to spend, there's a lot of cool stuff coming up, like Asgard. And Bigfoot Bill that's running right now. There's a lot of stuff running right now. Graveyard Shift. That's right. Graveyard Shift and Bigfoot Bill are 2 I'm very excited about. And Asgard, I think, looks really great. Yeah, so save your pennies. We're going to be an in-demand store for a little while. So you can back Asgard and then come back to us afterwards if you so desire.
And for a very limited time, but wait, there's more. For a very limited time, I'm sure everyone knows, but for anyone who doesn't, Cyberfrog just opened up a limited store for an alternate cover, which you can get. There's 2 options there available. It's only going to be open for what, 2 weeks? Is that right? Mitch?
It's like 6 more days. It's only a 7-day campaign.
So there you go. If you want to get that, get on that right away, guys. My store will be open until I set a print run. I'm on page 33 now, which means I have about 15 pages to go. So I am coming down the finish line pretty soon here, and then we can get this puppy into your hands right about the time Mitch starts drawing Red Rooster.
It may be. Well, that'll be very, very soon. I'm chomping at the bit, actually. Very excited. Like chomp, absolutely. Yeah. I'm ready for it. It's like this is a life change. This is kind of a big change. It's a big change for us in our business strategy and in our life. I'm a little sleepy-eyed right now because it's past my bedtime, but it is truly a very exciting time.
You're gonna have so much fun drawing this, dude. It's so much fun.
I love drawing this character. He's fun to draw, and all the little. I mean, it's going to be a different. This is my first really my first go around with something that's wholly my own, and drawing it, I think, is just going to be far more pleasurable. I had a lot of great fun drawing most of the Captain America stories I got to draw. You know, but you know, I became kind of familiar and intimate with the character and the stories that I got to do. But when I delved into other territory, I just didn't feel as close to it.
Yeah.
I just kind of felt like I was the hired gun who's coming in and drawing defenders for an issue or whatever it is.
Yeah.
But this is special because these characters all came from my own hand, from my own mind, and from my own imagination. So they're going to be treated with care and with love and with dignity. And I hope it shines through.
Well, let me tell you what's probably going to happen to you, because you are a creative, right? Dude, when you start working on your own stuff, it's like a floodgate opens up, and you just start the creative part of your mind just starts freaking running on turbo fuel, and you're like, oh man, I just had another idea, and Elizabeth's gonna get tired of you telling her all these new ideas, just like my wife gets tired of mine.
Yeah, I'm ready to get back into that space again. Oh, yeah, for sure. I'm ready to get back into that mindset. Where the creative, I don't know what you call it, the wellspring is running nonstop. That's always a fun place to be when you're away from drama and you're just in your space and making cool stuff.
Yeah, and you're not thinking about other people's crap.
Yeah, that's my favorite headspace. Is in that mode, and I'd rather be there. We had to wear the self-promotion cap for a while, and we will wear that from time to time, all the time. That's kind of a permanent state of being now for comic books. I think if you want to succeed out here in the Wild West, but yeah, just being creative, and that's where I want to be.
Yeah,
making stories.
Essentially doing what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah. We're meant to be.
Well, Malin is only $20 away from 40,000.
Oh, no way!
Actually, I think he hit it.
Did he?
Well, I'm doing a refresh right now. No, he's still $20. Somebody was saying that he had hit 40.
Back out. No, just kidding.
Oh, there's one thing I wanted to say. Kanan and I, if the guys are watching, Kanan White and I are having a bit of a drawing contest, so draw off, as you can say. We're probably going to be on Antonio's live stream on September 7th. I have to draw the brand characters, and Kanan has to draw the Asgard characters, and the chat will get to choose the winner.
Oh, that's cool.
Over the 14 years that Kanan and I, or actually it's longer than that, I think 14 years was the first time we actually met in person. I have always challenged Kanan to these little, and it's always felt like the little brother trying to, challenge the taller, bigger brother, older brother in like basketball. And he's always swatted me down regardless of the situation. Every time I was like, oh yeah, I got him this time. And he just comes out with this wonderful piece. And I slink back to my hole. So this time it's going to be a real duel. I think I'm in the ballpark of his level. So it's like, okay, Kanan, all right. So we've thrown the gauntlet down. Especially he's on the book and I'm on the book too. We're both in Comicsgate.
Have you tried trash talk? Because even if he's still got the edge, if you can get in his head, get at his confidence a little bit, shake him up some.
Kanan's very religious, and he has the might of God protecting his mind. That dude is unfallible sometimes. You cannot make him slip. I have tried.
So we'll have to resort to sabotage then.
Yeah, it's getting to that point. I mean, if you guys look at it.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was saying, if you ever watch our Twitter, we have these art wars where he posts a piece and I post a piece, and it'll go on for like 20 or 30 minutes when I'm scrounging my hard drive because he draws a lot more than me. So I'm like, oh man, I don't have anything. Okay, let me look in the old hard drive.
Yeah, I was going to say I've never talked to Kanan yet. I want to now. I want to hear him. Now I want to talk to him even more.
He's a really good guy.
Didn't John, didn't you have Kanan and Antonio on today? Was that today? John in the chat. Now I have to wait for him to answer the chat.
While you guys are doing that, I think I'm going to head out. It's past my bedtime. I think I'm slurring my words.
Let's do that green light again.
Okay. Turn the bedroom green.
Da-da-da-da.
Yeah, Kanan's a real good guy. He almost got me hired on to Dabble Brothers when they were around.
Oh, they are around.
They're still around?
They're around again.
Oh, okay.
That's who I was doing Meg with.
Malin is at $40,102. Right,
Nice.
graveyard.
Good job, John. We got you over the hump. Where am I? I don't even.
Let's see. Lone Star.
Lone Star. In fact, put it on your screen. We'll share it.
Yeah. See, let me pop this out. Give me a second here. And after we share this, I'm going to have to.
Yeah, it's been like 2.5 hours.
All right, Lone Star, Heart of the Hero.
Is that refreshed?
Where are we? Let me refresh it one.
Come on.
$81,952.
952. Come on, somebody get in there and drop $40 on me.
Well,
yeah, let's. Order of the Dawn. What? Order of the Dawn.
How about that?
Hey, I wanted to ask this guy. He's Jiminy Cricket. I don't know. Do you guys ever watch some black guy on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, so I sent him a little message because I wanted to hear what his point of view of Comicsgate would be. And Jimmy Kirk is saying that some black guy actually requested for Comicsgate info.
Huh. No.
So I was told to ask Edwin. I don't know. I haven't checked my Twitter on that right now in a while.
Get him some info, Edwin. Lord Asserman for $10. Maybe you could do this face-off on Ethan's stream, and while the battle is going on, people can send super chats. Maybe we can send the money from the super chats to a charity of the winner's choice.
Maybe. I know when we initiated, we just said we were going to do it on Tenlio's page because it'll be the day before Asgard launches. And, it'll be one last surge for Antonio's because I think his ends very close to when Asgard begins. So I'm trying to give him one last push. Maybe we can jump on Ethan's. It depends if Ethan even wants us on there. Ethan's a busy guy. So, but yeah, you never know.
All right. Well, gosh, we can't get me over 82,000. Come on, somebody, $40. That's all we're asking for here.
John Malin got my last cash. I put him over 30.
Well, I guess if we can't do it, sometimes people will start buying stuff after the stream ends, like they don't want to get off for whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
But all right, let's wrap this up. Thank you, Ben Jones. Hey, somebody just dropped some ducats in my pocket. Let me see how much that was.
Curious 2 Alpha. Happy birthday.
It's $33. That makes me. I'm gonna be like $6 away.
Oh, somebody's got to do it.
All right, let's wrap this up. So
I don't know if I have enough to put you over. Let's see. I'm close.
No, Ben, don't worry about it.
Yeah.
It's all fun.
Well, no, I'm just having fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for being here. I really appreciate it. No, I haven't gotten the money yet. It is in process, so 3 to 5 business days, and I should be there. So looking forward to it. And I want to thank everyone. Malin, thanks for keeping the chat in check. Hold on, Mike. I need the link to Lone Star. It's lonestarcomic.com, DJ Ray. lonestarcomic.com. I think someone wants to drop it in there before we end this. But hey, it takes Edwin a minute to do his benediction. So, Ben, appreciate you being here. I hope for great things for you in this space and in your career and with your family. So,
oh yeah, man. You too, man. You too.
Thank you so much.
It's very appreciative that you guys are willing to have me on, and just shoot the fun with comic creation and having fun with the fans. This is what I've always wanted in my life, as far as comic books, is to be able to have that kind of fun with your fans. And
right?
Actually, even have fans, you know.
Well, you got them now. Hey, put your what's your YouTube channel called?
Ben Jones Art. It's one word.
Ben Jones Art, everybody. Ben Jones Art. Get over there, subscribe, and you can check him out while he's drawing, which is always fun to do.
Let's see if did I put you over? Did I put you over? I hope I did. I gotta look now. Let's see. Come on. Hey, did I? No, I didn't. I don't think. How far away were you?
I don't know. I think it was like a few bucks.
You're $81,985.
Come on!
I tried. I tried. I tried, man.
That's funny.
It is what it is.
All right, somebody's got $15. Dang it!
No. Mine says 82,061.
Oh.
Woo! So
maybe I did put you over. Oh, I don't know. You should be able to check to see.
George Ray. So it was George Ray with 28, you with 15, thank you, and Manuel Uderzar with 33. That's what bumped me over. And Aningan Keno Juak, 33 4 minutes ago. So thanks all of you guys. Thanks everybody. Order the Dawn, Kevin Romney, Justin Mobley, Evan James, 72, 78. You are all. Thank you so much. Thanks everybody in the crowd. Thank you for supporting independent comics. Thank you for supporting Lone Star in particular, and for being part of this great, awesome movement that is going to change the world. Edwin Boyette.
Yes.
Take us out of here.
All right. So a spirit of gratitude can change your life.
Amen.
Sometimes we don't feel like maybe we have enough things to be thankful for. If you start looking for things to be thankful for, to have gratitude, you will start finding very many things to have gratitude for. Wherever you are, try and show as much kindness, compassion, and respect to the people around you, the people in your life, and as much patience as you can. Be slow to anger, quick to listen. Be the very best version of yourself that you can be, so that no matter where you are, that part of the world is better because you are there. And until we meet again, we wish you a good night and aloha.
And before I do it, Friendly Neighborhood Ninja says, thanks so much for all the advice, and thank you for your guests, and thank all your guests for me. To my Lone Star Squadron. Lone Star Squadron, you are dismissed.